Going once, going twice, sold. The sound of the gavel hitting the podium echoes across the Helvetia Hills, but today it does not sound like business. It sounds like a funeral bell. Everything must go. The pirate ship where the grandchildren played, the western town that hosted thousands of fans, the tractors, the wagons, even the custom mule that gave Matt Roloff his freedom. The toys that defined a generation of reality TV are on the chopping block today, and there is nothing Matt can do to stop it. It is the end of an era. Because Matt Roloff cannot pay the millions he owes to Amy in cash, the court has ordered a fire sale liquidation of every single asset remaining on Roloff Farms. It is a humiliating day for the man who built this kingdom as strangers outbid him for his own creations, picking over the carcass of his legacy piece by piece. We are on the ground at the auction that officially turns Roloff Farms from a living, breathing family estate into a fading memory. Goodbye, Roloff Farms. Before we take you inside the gates for the most heartbreaking teardown in Little People, Big World history, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We are the only source bringing you the raw, unfiltered truth about the fall of the Roloff Empire. And with the legal battles heating up, you do not want to miss our next update on Caryn's alleged escape plan. Smash that subscribe button right now so you don't miss a single twist in this tragedy. The silence that usually hangs over the farm in the off-season has been replaced by the chaotic chant of the auctioneer and the rumble of heavy machinery loading history onto flatbed trucks. To understand how we got to this absolute point of no return, we have to look at the devastating court order that was signed just 48 hours ago. We already know that Amy Roloff was awarded the deed to the land itself, the dirt, the fields, and the farmhouse. That was the first hammer blow, but the second blow, the one that is currently dismantling Matt's life, is the punitive damages. The judge ruled that Matt's years of financial manipulation and fraud regarding the farm's valuation didn't just cost Amy equity, it was a malicious act that required punishment. The court ordered Matt to pay Amy $3 million in immediate restitution and legal fees. But here is the problem that led to today's disaster. Matt Roloff is what financial experts call asset rich and cash poor. Or at least he used to be asset rich. With the land deed transferred to Amy, Matt was left with a bank account that had been drained by years of bad investments, the construction of the new house that sits unfinished, and an exorbitant legal defense team that failed him. When the deadline to pay Amy came and went, Matt pleaded poverty. He told the court he didn't have the $3 million. He offered payment plans. He offered IOUs. But the judge, tired of the delays and the deceit, had zero sympathy left. The court appointed a bankruptcy trustee to step in and seize control. This is the moment Matt lost his autonomy. A trustee isn't a family member you can manipulate or a producer you can charm. They are a government-appointed official with one single job: convert physical items into liquid cash to satisfy a debt. The trustee arrived at Roloff Farms with a clipboard and a team of assessors, and they began tagging everything that wasn't nailed down. This is the humiliation that the cameras usually cut away from, but we are painting the full picture for you. Imagine Matt watching from his window as men in neon vests walk through his beloved western town, slapping price tags on the saloon doors. Imagine them walking up to the pumpkin cannon, a device Matt was so proud of, and marking it as lot number 505. It was a cold, calculated inventory of a man's life. Matt tried to fight it. His lawyers filed an emergency motion claiming that the attractions, the western town, the castle, the pirate ship, were fixtures of the land. In real estate law, if something is a fixture, it belongs to the landowner, which is now Amy. If Matt could prove they were fixtures, they couldn't be sold off to pay his personal debt. But the strategy backfired in the most spectacular way. The judge reviewed the construction, permits, and the structural designs and ruled that because these structures were temporary, built without proper foundations, and designed to be modified for the pumpkin season, they were classified as movable assets. They were personal property. They belonged to Matt, which meant they could be seized and sold to pay Matt's bills. The ruling was the final nail in the coffin. The trustee ordered an immediate public auction, no reserves, no minimums. Everything sells to the highest bidder until the $3 million mark is reached. And that brings us to this morning. The atmosphere at the farm is heavy. It is overcast, atypical Oregon gray, which feels appropriate for the mood. Hundreds of people have descended on Helvetia. The crowd is a strange mix of three distinct groups. First, you have the diehard fans. They are here with tears in their eyes, hoping to buy a small piece of memorabilia, maybe a sign or a wagon wheel, something to hold on to from the show they loved. Then you have the local farmers and construction crews. They don't care about the TV show. They are vultures circling a carcass, looking for cheap tractors, tools, and lumber. They are here to get a deal on Matt's misery. And finally, you have the onlookers, the curious neighbors who have watched the Roloff drama unfold for decades and just want to see how it ends. Matt is here, but he is not in charge. He is standing near the back of the equipment yard, flanked by two security guards. He is wearing dark sunglasses, even though there is no sun. He's trying to hide the emotion, or maybe he's trying to hide the shame. He isn't greeting fans. He isn't micromanaging the staff. For the first time in 30 years, he is a spectator on his own property. He watches as the auctioneer climbs up onto a portable podium set up right in front of the main barn. The sound system crackles to life, and the rapid-fire chant begins. The first few items are small: tools from the workshop, chainsaws, welders, the things that built the farm. They go quickly. A box of custom tools sells for $400. A set of ladders goes for $200. It feels like a garage sale at first, but the symbolism is heavy. These are the tools Matt used to build his vision, and now they are being scattered to the wind. But the mood shifts dramatically when the auctioneer moves to the larger items, the icons of the show. The crowd hushes as the handlers roll out lot number 101. It is the mule, Matt's custom-modified Kawasaki mule. If you have watched the show since the beginning, you know that this vehicle is more than just an ATV. It is Matt's legs. It is his freedom. It is the chariot that allowed him to survey his domain, to chase the kids through the fields, to escape the arguments with Amy. We have seen him drive away in this mule hundreds of times. It is customized with hand controls and a special seat. Seeing it sitting there with a yellow auction tag dangling from the steering wheel is a punch to the gut. It looks small and vulnerable without Matt in the driver's seat. The bidding starts at $500. It jumps immediately to $1,000. Matt shifts his weight uncomfortably. He whispers something to a man standing next to him, a proxy bidder. Matt is trying to buy back his own mobility. He can't bid himself. It would look too pathetic, and the trustee might not even allow it directly. So he has a friend in the crowd raising a paddle. The price hits $5,000. The fans are bidding it up, thinking it would be a cool souvenir. They don't realize they are bidding against the man who needs it. The price hits $10,000. The proxy looks back at Matt. Matt gives a subtle nod. $11,000. But then a local nursery owner, a man who has known the Roloffs for years but has no sentimental attachment to the drama, steps in. He needs a utility vehicle for his own farm. He yells out $12,000. The crowd gasps. That is more than the blue book value, but this has history. Matt's proxy raises the paddle again. $13,000. The nursery owner doesn't blink. $14,000. Matt's shoulders slump. He knows he has no cash. Any money he spends here is money he has to borrow from somewhere else. and he is already tapped out. He shakes his head at the proxy. The fight is over. Going once, the auctioneer screams, the tempo frantic. Going twice at $14,000. The gavel slams down. Sold to bidder number 429. The nursery owner walks over to claim his prize. A worker hops into the driver's seat, Matt's seat, and starts the engine. It roars to life with that familiar sound we have heard in 100 episodes. The worker puts it in gear and drives it away toward the loading zone. Matt watches it go. He takes off his sunglasses for a split second to wipe his face, and you can see the devastation. In that moment, he didn't just lose a vehicle. He lost his ability to move freely through the world he created. He is stranded. But the auctioneer doesn't pause for sentimentality. Time is money, and there is a massive deficit to cover. The next items up are the tractors, the big Kubota excavators that Matt used for his endless projects. These are the machines that dug the tunnels, moved the dirt for the castle, and reshaped the landscape every season. They are the extensions of Matt's will. When he wanted to change the world, he got in an excavator. Now, they are lined up like soldiers facing a firing squad. The bidding on the heavy machinery is brutal and fast. These aren't fans buying these. These are professionals. A construction company from Portland buys the largest excavator for $60,000. A landscaping crew picks up the backhoe. One by one, the fleet is dismantled. We see Matt pull out his phone. He's texting frantically. Sources on the ground tell us he is texting Caryn Chandler, who is conspicuously absent from the event. We will get to the reason for her absence in a moment, and it is more scandalous than anyone realized, but right now, Matt is alone. The sheer speed of the liquidation is what is so jarring. 30 years of accumulation is being wiped out in 30 minutes. The famous farm wagons, the ones that carried thousands of families to the pumpkin patch, are sold in a bulk lot to a rival pumpkin patch in Washington state. Think about the irony of that. The Roloff competition is literally buying the infrastructure of Roloff Farms to use against them. It is the ultimate defeat. The wagons are hitched up and towed away, the faded Roloff Farms logo still painted on the side, soon to be sanded off and repainted with someone else's name. As we move deeper into the afternoon, the items get more personal and more bizarre. The trustee is selling everything. The specialized camera equipment that Matt bought to film his own projects, the stockpiles of lumber he was saving for the new house, even the decorative statues from the garden. It creates a sense of violation. It feels like the farm is being stripped naked. And through it all, the figure of the bankruptcy trustee stands by the podium, impassive, checking items off a list. Every time the gavel bangs, another check mark goes on the page, and another chunk of Matt's debt is theoretically paid off. But at what cost? The chat in the live stream of the auction is going wild. People are commenting that this feels like karma. They are saying that after years of Matt treating the farm like his personal chessboard and treating his family like pawns, the game is finally over. Others are heartbroken, saying that no matter what Matt did, nobody deserves to watch their life's work sold to strangers for pennies on the dollar. It is a polarizing spectacle, but nobody can look away. Then comes the moment that shifts the tone from sad to tense. The auctioneer announces a brief recess before they move to the attractions category: the Western town, the pirate ship, and the castle. During this break, the crowd ripples with a new energy. Murmurs start spreading. People are pointing toward the parking lot. Police cruisers are pulling in, not just local deputies, but unmarked SUVs with federal plates. U.S. Marshals. They aren't here to buy a tractor. They are walking with purpose toward the reserved parking area where the family cars are kept. Matt sees them. He stiffens. He knows what this is about, but he clearly didn't expect it to happen here, in front of the cameras, in front of the fans. This brings us to the most explosive conflict of the day, A twist involving Caryn Chandler that changes the entire narrative of this liquidation. Because while the tractors and the mule were assets of the farm, the Marshals are looking for proceeds of crime. We have to go back to the forensic audit that Amy's lawyers conducted during the lawsuit. They didn't just find that Matt undervalued the land, they found a paper trail of farm funds being siphoned off to purchase personal luxury gifts for Caryn. We are talking about company money, money that should have been part of the farm's profit, money that Amy had a claim to, being used to buy status symbols for the girlfriend. The audit specifically flagged a $50,000 diamond ring in a luxury SUV registered in Caryn's name, but paid for by a Roloff Farms corporate account. Under the court order, these items are considered fraudulent transfers. They are assets bought with stolen money, and the Marshals are here to repossess them. The timing is ruthless. It is designed to be a public spectacle. The Marshals locate the black SUV in the parking lot. It is the car Caryn drives. Although she isn't here, the car is. And inside the car, or perhaps with a representative she sent, is the jewelry. The scene in the parking lot is chaotic. Viewers who were there filming on their phones captured the moment a tow truck, contract backed by the Marshals, backed up to Caryn's luxury vehicle. This isn't an auction sale. This is a seizure. The flashing lights of the police cars reflect off the polished chrome of the SUV. The crowd from the auction abandons the podium and rushes to the fence to watch the drama unfold. It is a total circus. Matt tries to intervene. He rushes over to the Marshals, waving his arms, shouting that this is a mistake, that the car is personal property. But the Marshals are not interested in Matt's explanations. They have a warrant. One of the officers hands Matt a piece of paper, and he reads it, his face turning pale. It is a seizure order. This is the moment the reality of the fraud hits home for everyone watching. This isn't just about a divorce settlement anymore. This is about financial crimes. The towing of Caryn's car is a symbol that the lifestyle they built together on the farm's dime is being dismantled. The rumors we are hearing is that Caryn is currently holed up in a rental property in Arizona, refusing to answer calls, terrified that she might be personally liable. But the car is gone, hooked up and dragged away as the crowd films every second. Back at the auction podium, the break is over. The distraction of the police raid has left the crowd buzzing with adrenaline. They are bloodthirsty now. The sympathy for Matt has evaporated as the reality of his spending habits is towed away in the background. The auctioneer steps back up. He clears his throat. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now moving to structural assets. Item number 600, the pirate ship. This is the big one. The pirate ship is the heart of the farm. It is the playground where Zach, Jeremy, Molly, and Jacob spent their childhoods. It is the structure that Matt built with his own vision. A massive wooden ship in the middle of a field. It makes no sense, but it was magic. And now it is just a pile of wood to be sold. The problem with the pirate ship is that it cannot be moved in one piece. It is too wide, too tall, and too old. The auctioneer announces that the lot is for salvage rights. That means whoever buys it has to dismantle it and take it away. They aren't buying a ship, they are buying lumber. The bidding starts low, $100. Silence. Nobody wants the hassle of tearing it down. $200. Finally, a hand goes up. It's a scrapwood dealer. He sees the high-quality timber Matt used, cedar and redwood, and he sees profit in the planks. He doesn't care about the memories. He cares about the resale value of the raw materials. The bidding is sluggish. It stalls at $800. Matt is watching from the side, looking defeated. He spent tens of thousands building that ship. He spent weekends designing it. And now it is selling for less than the price of a used iPhone. Sold for $850, the auctioneer drones. The scrap dealer nods, already pulling out his phone to call his demolition crew. The realization hits the crowd. The pirate ship isn't going to be moved to a new park or a museum. It is going to be chainsawed apart. It will cease to exist. This is the death of the playground. Next up is the Western town. This is even more tragic. The saloon, the jail, the bank. These were the sets for so many family photos. But like the ship, they are structures, not buildings. A man who runs a haunted house attraction in Salem bids on the jail cell facade. He gets it for $50. A fan buys the sign that says Roloff Saloon for $300. The town is being parted out like a stolen car. The unity of the attraction is broken. The jail goes one way, the bank goes another. The Western town, as a place, is gone forever. Then the castle. The castle was Matt's pride and joy. It was his fortress of solitude. It represented his desire to be the king of his domain. But today, the king has been overthrown. The castle is made of stone and concrete, harder to move, but the decorative elements, the drawbridge, the flags, the turrets, are up for grabs. A wealthy fan from California starts a bidding war for the main turret. He wants to put it in his backyard for his kids. The price goes up. $2,000, $3,000. It finally sells for $5,000. The castle has been breached. While this dismantling is happening, a familiar face is spotted at the very back of the crowd, leaning against a fence post far away from Matt. It is Zach Roloff. He is wearing a baseball cap pulled low, hands in his pockets. He hasn't bid on a single item. He hasn't spoken to Matt. He is just watching. A reporter from a local news outlet recognizes him and approaches. We have the transcript of that interaction. The reporter asks, "Zach, is it hard to watch your childhood being sold off like this?" Zach looks at the pirate ship where the scrap dealer is already inspecting the wood with a crowbar. He looks at Matt, who is arguing with his lawyer on the phone. Zach shrugs. His answer is cold but honest. He says, "It's sad, sure, but the farm died a long time ago. The farm we knew, that's been gone for years. This is just cleaning up the mess. I'm just here to make sure it's really over." Making sure it's really over. That is the sentiment that hangs in the air. This isn't a sale, it is an exorcism. Zach walks away before the reporter can ask another question. He gets into his truck and drives off, leaving his father alone in the wreckage. The sun begins to set, casting long shadows over the half-empty equipment yard. The auctioneer is losing his voice. The crowd has thinned out. The big items are gone. All that is left are boxes of miscellaneous junk, old pumpkin carving kits, broken signage, coils of wire. But the trustee is relentless. He sells it all. By the time the final gavel falls, the farm looks different. It looks empty. The silhouette of the pirate ship is still there, but it is marked with orange spray paint for demolition tomorrow. The fields are empty of tractors. The barns are silent. The trustee walks over to a folding table where his clerks have been tallying the numbers. The total is calculated. The crowd, what is left of it, waits for the number. The auctioneer announces that the total proceeds from the liquidation of assets, combined with the seizure of the vehicle and the cash seized from the accounts, comes to a grand total of $2.1 million. It is short of the $3 million Matt owes, but it is a massive chunk of change. Then, something happens that nobody expected. A black sedan pulls up. Amy Roloff steps out. She hasn't been here all day. She didn't want to watch the destruction. She is here for the check. The trustee meets her halfway. He hands her a cashier's check for the $2.1 million. Matt is watching from 50 yards away. He looks absolutely broken. This is money he earned, money he scammed, money he hid, and now it is being handed to his ex-wife in a single envelope. Amy takes the check. She doesn't smile. She doesn't gloat. She walks over to the small group of reporters who are still lingering. She holds up the check, not in victory, but in resolution. She makes a statement that completely changes the moral of this story. She says, "I didn't do this for the money. I did this for justice, and I'm not keeping a dime of this." The reporters are stunned. Amy continues, "Matt threatened to cut the grandkids out of the farm. He threatened their future. So this money, this $2 million, I am depositing it tomorrow morning into an irrevocable trust for Jackson, Ember, Lila, Bode, and all the grandchildren. This money will pay for their college. It will pay for their first homes. Matt's greed is going to secure their future, whether he likes it or not. It is the ultimate checkmate. The money Matt stole to build his own empire and spoil his girlfriend is now going to fund the very children he alienated. It is a poetic ending to a brutal day." Matt hears this. He turns around and walks back toward the big house, a lonely figure in a landscape he no longer owns. Watching the pirate ship get dismantled for scrap wood is a heavy image. Matt built a wonderland, and his greed tore it down. Do you think it's fair that they sold his personal ATV, or was that kicking a man while he's down? And what do you think of Amy giving the money to the grandkids? Let me know in the comments, Team Amy or Team Matt, and subscribe, because the drama isn't over. Caryn is rumored to be planning an escape to Mexico, and we're tracking her flight path in the next video. The sun is officially set on Roloff Farms, but the nightmare for Matt Roloff is just beginning. If you thought the auction was the climax of this tragedy, you are wrong. The auction was just the public execution. The real drama, the dark, behind-the-scenes chaos, started the moment the cameras stopped rolling and the last truck pulled away with the scraps of the western town. We are now moving into hour 24 of the post-Roloff era, and the information coming in from our insiders is nothing short of explosive. We told you Caryn was missing from the auction. We told you the Marshals seized her car. But what we have uncovered overnight changes everything. Caryn Chandler isn't just hiding. She is running. And Matt Roloff is left in an empty house surrounded by the ghosts of the empire he destroyed, holding a phone that nobody is answering. We are analyzing court documents released at midnight, and we are documenting the physical demolition of the structures that started at dawn. Let's take you back to the farmhouse late last night. The auction ended around 6 p.m. The crowds dispersed, the noise of the gavel and the chant of the auctioneer faded away. What was left was a silence so heavy it felt suffocating. Sources close to the family tell us that Matt did not leave the property. He retreated into the big house, the house he is currently living in, which, remember, is technically sitting on land now owned by Amy, though he retains occupancy rights for the moment. But the house is a fortress under siege. The driveway, usually lined with his fleet of vehicles, was empty. The mule, gone. The Lexus, gone. The farm trucks, sold. Matt was trapped. A neighbor who wishes to remain anonymous told our field reporter that they saw lights on in the frantic, pacing silhouette of Matt moving from window to window until 3 in the morning. He is a man who defines himself by control. He controls the land, he controls the narrative, he controls the family. Yesterday, he lost all 3. But the most crushing blow wasn't the loss of the pirate ship. It was the silence from Arizona. We need to talk about Caryn. While Matt was watching his tractors get sold to the highest bidder, where was Caryn Chandler? The narrative Matt tried to spin was that she was too heartbroken to attend. He told a few fans earlier in the day that she couldn't bear to watch the farm be dismantled. That was a lie. We now know, thanks to a leaked manifest from the seizure of her vehicle, that federal agents weren't just looking for the car, they were looking for her. The seizure warrant cited flight risk as a concern regarding the retrieval of assets. Here is the exclusive timeline we have pieced together. At 10:20 a.m. yesterday, while the auction was setting up, Caryn was not in Oregon. She was spotted at Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, But she wasn't flying back to Portland to support her man. She was checking into an international flight. Our source at the airline confirms a ticket was purchased last minute, one way, to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. This isn't a vacation. This is an evacuation. Why is she running? Because the punitive damages verdict that hit Matt also opened up a Pandora's box of liability for her. The forensic accountant who testified for Amy didn't just prove Matt wasted money. He proved conspiracy to defraud. By accepting gifts, vehicles, and a salary for a consulting position that had no timesheets, Caryn is now technically an accomplice in the eyes of the bankruptcy court. If she stays in the U.S., she risks being deposed. She risks having her personal bank accounts frozen. By crossing the border, she buys time. Imagine Matt's reality last night. He is sitting in his living room, realizing that the woman he blew up his marriage for, the woman he alienated his children for, the woman he embezzled farm funds for, has abandoned ship. He is calling her. The phone goes straight to voicemail. He texts her, no read receipt. He is alone. The loyalty he thought he bought with that $50,000 ring, which is now in an evidence bag, was an illusion. But the dawn brings a new horror. The auction sold the movable assets, but as we mentioned, the large structures like the pirate ship and the castle were sold for salvage. That means they have to be removed immediately. The trustee gave the buyers 48 hours to clear the land. He wants the slate wiped clean for Amy. At 7 a.m. this morning, the heavy equipment arrived. These weren't the clean, shiny tractors of Roloff Farms. These were demolition cranes, rusty industrial beasts designed to tear things apart. The sound of diesel engines woke up the entire Helvetia Valley. We have video footage of the first strike on the pirate ship. It is gruesome. The crane operator swings a massive steel claw. It smashes into the hull of the ship, the same hull where Jackson once steered the wheel. Wood splinters. The custom latticework shatters. It doesn't look like dismantling. It looks like a murder scene. Matt came out onto the porch in his bathrobe. He was screaming. We have audio from a telephoto lens mic. He is yelling, "Stop! You have to take it apart piece by piece. That's redwood." But the foreman of the demolition crew doesn't care. He bought it for scrap. It is faster to smash it and load the splinters into a dump truck than to unscrew every bolt. Matt tries to run out toward the field, but his mobility is gone. He doesn't have the mule. He has to use his crutches, struggling through the mud that the trucks have churned up. He makes it about 20 yards before he stops. He realizes he can't get there in time. He just stands there, watching the mast of the pirate ship snap in half and crash to the ground. This is the physical manifestation of the family's collapse. Every piece of wood being crunched is a memory being erased. And the worst part, Amy approved this. Technically, as the landowner, she signed off on the removal permits. This is her revenge. She isn't just taking the money. She is scrubbing the land of Matt's eccentricities. She wants a farm, not a theme park. She wants to grow pumpkins, not egos. By noon today, the pirate ship was gone. Just a crater of mud and a few stray planks. The western town is next. The buyers for the western town are actually stripping the facades. They are taking the bank sign and the jail bars carefully, but the underlying frames are being bulldozed. The fake fronts are being peeled away, exposing the hollow reality behind them. A perfect metaphor for Matt's life. It looked good from the front, but there was nothing supporting it from behind. While the demolition roars on, the internet is having a meltdown. The Team Matt loyalists are finally switching sides. The revelation about the college fund has destroyed Matt's defense. For years, Matt claimed he was doing everything for the legacy, for the grandkids. But when the chips were down, it was Amy who secured their future. The comment sections on the fan pages are brutal. Matt didn't build a legacy. He built a monument to himself. Watching the pirate ship fall is like watching my childhood die, but Matt pulled the trigger. Does Caryn have extradition from Mexico, asking for a friend? The public opinion has shifted from sadness to anger. They feel duped. They watch 25 seasons of a show about family values, only to find out the patriarch was looting the company accounts. The narrative has spun out of Matt's control, and without his PR team, who resigned yesterday due to non-payment, he has no way to spin it back. But there's another player entering the game today. Jeremy and Audrey. We haven't heard much from the golden couple of the farm in recent years as they distance themselves to build their own brand, but the destruction of the farm has pulled them back in. Jeremy was spotted arriving at the farm around 1:25 p.m. He wasn't there to see Matt, he was there to speak to the salvage crew. Witnesses say Jeremy was trying to buy back a specific piece of the western town, the old church steeple. It was a sentimental piece. He was arguing with the scrap dealer, offering cash, but here is the kicker. The scrap dealer refused. He told Jeremy, say, it's already sold to a collector in Japan. Jeremy was furious. He stormed up to the big house and banged on the door. Matt didn't answer. Jeremy stood on the porch, shouting. We couldn't make out all the words, but "you promise" and "liar" were clearly audible. Jeremy eventually kicked a planter over and stormed back to his car. The rift is absolute. Matt hasn't just lost the land, he has lost the ability to even communicate with his sons. Meanwhile, let's talk about money. The 2 points are $1 million. We tracked the check. Amy didn't wait. At 9:00 a.m., she walked into the Chase Bank in Hillsborough. She was accompanied by her lawyer and a trustee for the children. The trust is officially set up. It is called the Roloff Grandchildren Education and Welfare Trust. The terms are ironclad. Matt cannot touch it. Caryn cannot touch it. Even the parents, Zach, Jeremy, Molly, Jacob, cannot access the principal. It is strictly for the kids. This is the ultimate power move. Amy has ensured that Matt's fraud will actually benefit the next generation, bypassing Matt entirely. It turns his crime into a charity. But the legal battle isn't over. We have received a tip that the bankruptcy trustee is not satisfied with the $2 million. Matt still owes nearly $900,000 to clear the debt. The farm assets are gone. The cash is gone. So what is left? The trustee is now looking at the big house. Matt's current residence is a custom-built mansion. It is unfinished, but it is valuable. However, it sits on Amy's land. The legal complexity here is mind-boggling. The trustee has filed a motion this afternoon to evict and seize. The argument is that Matt's life estate that took his right to live in the house is an asset that has value, and that asset can be sold. If the judge approves this motion, Matt could be evicted within 30 days. The house could be sold to a third party, or Amy could be forced to buy out the structure to get him off the property. Imagine that. Matt Roloff, homeless, kicked off the farm he made famous, living in a motel while his ex-wife controls the land and his girlfriend sips margaritas in Cabo to avoid a subpoena. It is a Shakespearean tragedy. We are also hearing reports of a potential class action lawsuit from the fans. This sounds crazy, but hear me out. For years, fans paid to tour the farm, believing their money was supporting the family legacy. Now that it has been revealed the money was being siphoned for personal luxury, some legal experts are suggesting that the pumpkin season tickets were sold under false pretenses. If a lawyer picks this up, it could be the final straw that sends Matt to federal prison, not just bankruptcy court. As the sun begins to set on the second day, the farm is a graveyard. The pirate ship is a pile of splinters. The western town is a skeleton. The silence is returning, but it is a different kind of silence. It is the silence of a ruin. Matt is still in the house. We haven't seen him since the morning outburst. The lights are off. Is he plotting his next move? Is he planning to run to Mexico to join Caryn? Or is he sitting in the dark, finally realizing that he won the battle for control for 20 years, only to lose the war in a single weekend. And what about Caryn? We are tracking a flight that lands in Cabo in 2 hours. We have a stringer on the ground in Mexico waiting at the terminal with a camera. If she steps off that plane, we will have the footage. Is she wearing the other jewelry Matt bought her? Is she meeting someone else? The rumors are flying that she has been moving money to offshore accounts for months, anticipating this exact collapse. Did she play Matt? Was she the mastermind behind the fraud, or just the beneficiary? Tomorrow is going to be critical. The judge reviews the eviction motion at 10 o'clock a.m. If signed, the sheriff will be posting a notice on Matt's door by lunch. We will be there live. We will not look away. The story of Roloff Farms is over, but the story of Matt's reckoning is just hitting its peak. You need to tell me what you think. Is Caryn the villain here, or was she just smart to get out while she could? Should Amy kick Matt out of the big house, or is that too cruel even for her? And Jeremy trying to buy the steeple, does that show he still cares, or just that he wants a souvenir? Drop your theories in the comments. I read every single one. And hit that notification bell. You do not want to sleep on this. When that eviction notice goes up, you will see it here first. Stay tuned. The drama continues. The era is dead. Long live the truth. The third day dawns cold and damp over the Tualatin Valley. The demolition crews are gone. The vultures have picked the bones clean. All that remains is the silence of the graveyard and the question hanging over the big house. How do you evict a king from a castle he no longer owns? The answer came today, not with a bulldozer, but with a single piece of paper. As the final vestiges of Matt's playground were being hauled away as scrap, the final legal battle was taking place, and the verdict is in. Matt Roloff is officially homeless. The final chapter of our special report, Goodbye, Roloff Farms. We have just received confirmation from our source in Mexico. We have the ruling from the court, and we have the exclusive footage of the moment the law finally came to collect the man himself. If you thought this story was over, you were wrong. The final humiliation is always the most personal. Before we show you the footage of the eviction, make sure you are subscribed with the notification bell on. The story is moving faster than ever, and our next report will follow the money trail right to Caryn's new beachfront hideout. You don't want to miss that. Let's begin with the bombshell that landed overnight. We can now confirm that Caryn Chandler did, in fact, arrive in Cabo San Lucas. Our stringer on the ground captured the footage. She walked out of the terminal wearing oversized sunglasses and a wide-brimmed hat, trying to appear anonymous, but looking every bit the fugitive. She was pulling a single, expensive-looking roller bag, but here is the twist that proves her betrayal is absolute. She was not alone. Waiting for her at the curb was not a taxi, but a late-model convertible driven by a man who was clearly not Matt Roloff. They embraced, a quick, familiar hug, before he loaded her bag into the car, and they sped away. Who is this man? We are running facial recognition on the footage now, but sources inside Caryn's circle are suggesting this is a business associate from Arizona with whom she has been involved for months. It appears Caryn didn't just have an escape plan. She had an exit strategy that included a replacement. While Matt was losing his farm, his legacy, and his mobility, the woman he sacrificed everything for was already moving on. The $50,000 ring is in an evidence locker in Oregon, but Caryn is in the Mexican sun with a new benefactor. This was never about love. It was a business transaction, and when the business went bankrupt, she cashed out. This morning, as news of Caryn's Mexican rendezvous began to leak, the final legal proceeding was happening via Zoom. It was the trustee's eviction and seizure motion. Matt was on the call, appearing from a dark room in the big house. He looked exhausted. His lawyer, a new public defender since his high-priced team quit, argued for mercy. He argued that the house was Matt's primary residence, that he was a man with disabilities, and that throwing him out on the street would be a violation of human decency. He painted Matt as a victim. But the trustee's lawyer was brutal. She presented a simple, devastating case. She showed the court the $2.1 million raised at auction. She showed them the $900,000 deficit that was still owed to Amy. And then she presented Exhibit A, a satellite image of the massive, custom-built, multi-million-dollar mansion. "Your Honor," she said, "this is not a simple farmhouse. This is a luxury asset. The debtor, Mr. Roloff, cannot be allowed to live in a mansion built with funds that were, in part, fraudulently obtained, while his creditor remains unpaid." She argued that Matt's right to live in the house was an asset that could be sold to the highest bidder to cover the remaining debt. The judge listened, impassive. He looked at the paperwork for less than 5 minutes. His ruling was swift and merciless. Mr. Roloff's financial situation is a direct result of his own actions and choices. The court's primary responsibility is to the creditor and the satisfaction of the judgment. Motion granted. He banged a virtual gavel. The occupant has 72 hours to vacate the premises. 72 hours, that was it. The legal battle was over. The farm was no longer his in spirit, and now the house was no longer his in practice. At precisely 1:15 this afternoon, a Washington County Sheriff's deputy drove his cruiser slowly down that long gravel driveway, a journey we have seen the family take thousands of times. But this time was different. The deputy didn't knock. He walked up to the custom-made front door that Matt had been so proud of, and he taped a bright orange piece of paper to the wood. An official notice to vacate. A legal document that screamed, "Get out." From the property line, where the media was being held back, we could see the silhouette of Matt in the window watching. He didn't come out. He didn't confront the officer. The king had just received his official notice of exile, and there was no fight left in him. What do you do with your last 3 days in the place you called home for 30 years? For Matt Roloff, it was a ghost walk. In the twilight of his last evening, a solitary figure emerged from the house. No camera crew, no Caryn, just Matt and his crutches. He made his way slowly across the lawn, a general surveying a battlefield, after a total and complete defeat. We watched from a distance as he stood over the muddy scar in the earth where the pirate ship once stood. He lingered there for a long time, just looking at the empty space. He then hobbled over to the skeletal remains of the western town. We saw him reach out and touch the last remaining post of the saloon facade, as if remembering the laughter, the scenes, the life that used to be there. He looked up at the big barn, the iconic red barn with the white Roloff lettering. But the lettering was already peeling. The farm was shedding his name like a snake sheds its skin. This final mournful tour was a portrait of a man completely alone. Where was his family? Zach, true to his word, was done. He posted a single picture on Instagram this afternoon, a photo of his kids playing in their own backyard in Battleground, Washington. The caption read, "Building our own world on our own foundation." It was a clear and direct message. The old world was dead. He was focused on the future, a future that did not include the toxic ruins of the farm. Jeremy and Audrey were also silent, but their actions spoke volumes. A source close to them confirmed they have put a new, higher offer on a piece of property far away from Helvetia. They are cementing their brand as the homesteaders, the ones who escaped the family drama to create something pure. The dream of taking over Roloff Farms is not just dead. They are actively running from its memory. And what about Amy? While Matt was taking his final tragic walk, a delivery truck was seen on her side of the property. It was dropping off pallets of new fencing and irrigation equipment. Later in the afternoon, she and Chris were spotted walking the fields, not looking back at the big house, but looking forward at the dirt. Pointing, planning, talking about the next pumpkin season, her next season. On one side of the property line, a man was losing his past. On the other, a woman was building her future. The symbolism was as powerful as it was painful. The final hour arrived this afternoon. A black, unmarked SUV pulled up to the big house. Not a friend, not a family member. A lawyer sent by the trustee to ensure a smooth vacating of the property. The door opened. Matt emerged. He wasn't carrying boxes. He wasn't loading furniture. He was carrying a single small briefcase. That was it. 30 years of building, of dreaming, of filming, of fighting, all reduced to what could fit in a briefcase. Photos, business papers, we will likely never know. He got into the back seat of the car without assistance. As the SUV pulled away, turning left at the end of the driveway to leave the farm for the last time, he did not look back. The last image of Matt Roloff on Roloff Farms is of the back of his head, a silhouette in a car window, driving away into a completely uncertain and desolate future. So, the farm is finally quiet. The Roloff name will soon be scraped off the sign. Matt is gone. Caryn is living a new life in Mexico. The kids have moved on. And Amy is left with the land, the money for her grandchildren, and the monumental task of healing a piece of ground that has seen so much conflict. Was this justice? Or was it a tragedy that ripped a family apart for good, leaving no real winners, only survivors? What do you think should happen to the big house now? Should Amy tear it down and plant a field of pumpkins over the foundation? And what about Matt? Where does he go from here? A motel? A friend's couch? Let me know your final verdict on the fall of the Roloff empire in the comments below. Team Amy or Team Matt? Or is it finally time to be Team Grandkids? Thank you for following this special report. Make sure you are subscribed because our investigation is not over. The story has moved to Mexico. Our next video is already in production, Caryn's Cabo connection following the money trail. You will not believe who she met at the airport and what it means for Matt's future. The kingdom has fallen, but the secrets are just starting to come out. We will see you next time. We left you on the cliffhanger of a grainy photo from an airport terminal in Cabo San Lucas. We showed you Caryn Chandler, the woman at the heart of the Roloff empire's collapse, stepping into a convertible with a mystery man. For the past 48 hours, our team has been working around the clock, cross-referencing flight manifests, social media breadcrumbs, and deep background sources in Arizona. We promised you we would follow the money, and we have. But what we've uncovered is more than just a simple escape. It's a calculated, long-term betrayal that proves Caryn Chandler was not just a passenger in the fall of Roloff Farms. She was the pilot. Before we expose the name and the scheme that Caryn has been running for over a year, I need you to understand the devastating contrast of this story. While Caryn Chandler is sipping cocktails in a private villa overlooking the Pacific, Matt Roloff, the man who lost everything for her, is living in a place that can only be described as the ninth circle of personal hell. We have located Matt. He's not with friends. He's not with family. He checked into the Crossroads Extended Stay America in Beaverton, Oregon. It's a drab 3-story motel situated between a freeway off-ramp and a discount tire center. We have footage from a source in the parking lot. Matt was seen using his crutches to hobble from his rented sedan to the vending machine in the lobby, buying a bag of pretzels for dinner. This is the man who built a castle. The man who hosted lavish parties in a custom-built Western town. He is now living in a 200-square-foot room with a kitchenette and a window that looks out onto a parking lot filled with contractors' vans. The irony is so thick you could choke on it. He has gone from the king of his own 34 acres to a transient in a roadside motel. He is a prisoner of the world he once claimed to own. Now, let's fly back to Cabo. The man Caryn met at the airport is not just some new boyfriend. His name is Richard Sterling. He is a 65-year-old, recently divorced real estate developer from Scottsdale, Arizona, with a net worth estimated at over $50 million. Our sources confirm that Caryn met Sterling at a charity golf tournament in Arizona nearly 18 months ago, long before the final judgment against Matt came down. This was not a chance encounter. This was an audition. Here is the exclusive theory that our financial insiders are now piecing together. The forensic audit during the trial revealed that Matt had been making a series of bad investments with farm profits, losing hundreds of thousands of dollars in ventures that Amy's lawyers couldn't quite make sense of. They were written off as Matt's poor business sense, but now it all clicks into place. We believe Caryn convinced Matt to invest that money into a series of shell corporations, or LLCs, promising huge returns. And who was the principal owner of these LLCs? You guessed it, Richard Sterling. The money wasn't lost, it was transferred. It was laundered through real estate developments in Mexico, turning Roloff Farms assets into Sterling International Holdings. It is a classic textbook case of fraudulent conveyance. Caryn didn't just accept gifts bought with stolen money. She actively engineered the theft, convincing Matt to sign documents he didn't understand, all while planning her escape with the man who was holding the cash. She saw the iceberg coming. She didn't warn the captain. She just quietly stole a lifeboat and filled it with all the treasure she could carry. This changes the entire narrative. Matt Roloff isn't just a fool who was brought down by his own greed. He was the mark in a long con, played by the person he trusted most. He thought he was getting a loyal partner. What he got was a corporate raider who stripped his company for parts and left him to take the fall. And the fall was getting steeper. As if being homeless and betrayed wasn't enough, a new legal front has just opened up that could destroy what little is left of Matt's reputation. Remember the fan class action lawsuit we mentioned as a possibility? It's no longer a possibility. It is a reality. This morning, the law firm of Peterson and I filed a massive class action lawsuit in federal court against Matt Roloff and Roloff Farms, Inc. The plaintiffs are a group of 5 families who represent all ticketed guests of pumpkin season from 2018 to 2023. The legal argument is fraudulent inducement. They claim that Matt and the farm solicited money from the public under the premise of supporting a family-run, wholesome attraction. They used the images of the grandchildren, the family brand, and the TV show to create a specific image. The lawsuit alleges that by siphoning off the profits for personal luxuries and fraudulent investments, Matt broke an implicit contract with his own fans. They are not suing for millions. They are suing for a full refund of every ticket, every pumpkin, and every souvenir purchased in the last 5 years. It's a legal move designed for one purpose: total public humiliation. Imagine the discovery phase of this lawsuit. Matt will be forced to give depositions under oath about every dollar he spent, every trip with Caryn, every gift, every secret investment. He cannot escape it by claiming bankruptcy because this is a fraud case. This debt, if the fans win, could follow him for the rest of his life. While Matt's world is imploding, Amy is quietly building. The old rickety fences that mark the arbitrary lines Matt drew across the property are coming down. We have footage of Chris on a tractor with a chain, pulling out the old posts one by one. It is a deeply symbolic act. Amy is erasing the divisions. She is making the farm whole again. She was seen talking to a local organic farmer, discussing crop rotation and soil health. She is not planning to rebuild the theme park. She is planning to build a farm, a real working farm. She is healing the land literally and figuratively. The eviction, the auction, Caryn's escape, it's all sending shockwaves through the entire Roloff family. We are hearing from sources that Jacob and Isabel, who have always been critical of the show's artifice, are feeling a strange sense of vindication. The fake world they grew up in has finally imploded, proving their criticisms were valid all along. As for Molly, even the private one, she has reportedly cut off all communication with Matt, siding firmly with her mother and the future of her nieces and nephews' college fund. The family tree has been burned, and the branches have fallen on opposite sides of a smoldering crater. So what happens next? The trustee is now working with federal authorities to see if Caryn Chandler can be extradited from Mexico. But with her new partner's wealth and legal connections, it is an uphill battle. The money is likely already hidden in accounts that are impossible to trace. For now, she is untouchable. The focus now shifts to Matt Roloff, alone in that sterile motel room. His phone must be ringing off the hook with calls from lawyers about the class action suit. His bank account is frozen. His assets are gone. His partner is gone. His family is gone. He has nothing left but the consequences. Will he fight? Will he appear in court to face the fans he betrayed? Or will he simply disappear, becoming a cautionary tale whispered about in the hills of Helvetia? The kingdom is gone. The queen has fled with the treasury, and the king is in exile. This is no longer a reality show. It's a tragedy of almost biblical proportions. What do you think is the right punishment for Caryn? Should the U.S. government go after her in Mexico, or should they let her go and focus on Matt? And if you were one of the fans who bought a pumpkin season ticket, would you join the lawsuit? Let me know what justice looks like to you in the comments below. And subscribe, because our next report is coming directly from the courthouse. We will be there for the first hearing in the fan fraud lawsuit, and you will have a front row seat to the final act of Matt Roloff's public downfall. Stay with us.